Hello and welcome back to Elisabeth Hogarth Designs. Today we are looking at some old and some new products from the Hobby House. The pack that I have been sent includes some of the classic Hobby House products that many of you know and love. So we've got a fabulous range of polka dot papers. They call them papers, I call them cardstock. So it ranges from pale blue through to pink and then 2 shades of purple, and to match that you've got the Sublime Pearlescent card, again in the same shades. You may be thinking, right, what can I do with those? Great for everyday cardstock, but what can I make with them? What makes this little delivery special that I've had from the Hobby House is the addition of the first ever dies. These are the Mulberry Blooms, and you may recognise this shape from the traditional flowers that are made with the mulberry paper that you can buy pre-made from the Hobby House, with the colours in blues and pinks that match the stock that you have. But now you can make your own. So you've got 2 sets of floral dies, which are very good quality, and you can see that they will also emboss the detail in there. And then you've got 2 sets of the matching leaves, and you can see the variegated pattern in the design. Along with that, you have got a set of mulberry paper, which I've already been playing with. And so this video will consist of a little bit of showing you the product, quite a bit of showing you some techniques for easy to make mulberry flowers, and then the final part will be some design team samples that I'm going to put together from everything that I've made. So along with the mulberry papers, you'll get the dies, and then you'll get 3 types of stamens. So you've got a pale lemon yellow, that's in 2 sizes. It comes in the long size and then the slightly shorter one, and then you've got a proper lemon zest yellow, and then you've got your classic white. So these will go inside the flowers, but all will become clear as we go through the video. Along with your polka dot paper and pearlized cardstock, you've also got a fabulous coordinating set of ribbons. So you've got organza and satin here in various widths, the wide and the narrow. This is even narrower here. And you've got shades of silver grey, lilac, purple, blues and pinks. So they'll be fabulous for completing your card. To make the mulberry blossoms, I would suggest getting yourself a ball tool and a mat if you have one, or a piece of foam. And to help you fix the stamens, I would look for either a very slim hair clip or some craft wire that you can easily find in Hobbycraft or somewhere like that. But other than that, the rest of it's down to your imagination. Let's begin by looking at die cutting the flowers themselves. I'm using a standard Big Shot machine, and all you need to do is to fold up the mulberry paper, place it on your baseboard, and then take your 2 sets of dies and place them on the cutting plate. I have found by moving them around you can get 6 cuts from one sheet, which means because you've doubled it up, you're going to make 12 sets of flowers in one go. You might find that you want to use more mulberry paper in one go, but I prefer to leave it at 2 layers because then it gives me this really neat impression on the flowers. So that's your large. There's your medium. And there's your small. The first technique is to make an almost traditional cherry blossom. So I found that if I used a finger dauber and some oxide, so it could be distress ink, it could be any ink that you've got. So this is a picked raspberry, and I took off some of the colour and then I simply edged the outside. And you really don't need a lot of ink. The next thing that you want to do to make the standard cherry blossom, you're going to take 2 of the flowers that are the same size, slightly offset them. Then I found if you took 3 of the stamens and prep these, so we're going to bend them in half, and then we're going to take our piece of wire. I found that a bobby pin, let me show you, a bobby pin or a hairpin is slightly a little bit too wide to go into the holes, so I moved on to a piece of wire. So it's like a craft wire. You can find them at Hobbycraft or online, just a narrow pliable wire. I quite often use it as well for declogging my glue, and then to just give it a little bit more shape. So we've got our stamens ready. I'm going to take the widest part of the ball tool, and you can use a mat or you can use your hand. I'll show you if it's done in your hand as well. It's whichever method you prefer. And then, as I say, slightly offset it, and then take the wire with your stamens, and this will be the same technique for all of them, and then pop that through the hole. Number 1, number 2, lift up your petals to the stamen, give it a little tug, and then unwrap the wire. And because I'm using oxide, I actually gave it a little spritz of water to soften up the ink. I was doing them in batches. I used a brush holder that I've got. You could make something like with egg cups or anything like that, and then to leave it to dry, and then I just pop it through the hole and leave it to dry, and then I make up my batch and leave them all to settle, and then I move on to the next colour. To make a flower that's a little bit more like a primrose or primula, something like that, springtime flower, I use 3 sizes of the blooms, and again I prepared my stamens onto the wire, and then I thread the smallest bloom first, then the middle sized bloom, and then the largest bloom, and then I bring them together and then give it a little tug and pull the stamens through. Of course you might find your own methods for using this, but this is really aimed at those of you that haven't done anything like this before. And then we take out the wire. We'll shape the petals a little bit. You don't need to spritz it with water, but I just like the result that it gives me, and it also allows the mulberry paper to shape up a little into the curve. So there you go, there's your primrose style flower, and there's your apple blossom. This flower, again, it resembles a primrose to me. It was made in a similar sort of way. So you'll see from my notes that I still die cut the flower, left the mulberry paper dry, and this time I used squeezed lemonade oxides and with the dauber again, and I brushed the inside of the flower rather than the outside of the petals, and then attach the stamens. So look, there's another set of very pretty flowers ready to go onto a card. Another technique I tried was to brush the ink onto the mulberry paper first. So I used a blending brush and I added quite a liberal amount of ink onto the paper in a circular motion. So a little bit of yellow everywhere. And then I use some tattered rose and again blended it in with the yellow. You almost end up with a peach melba kind of colour. It can be as strong as you like. You can use any combination of colours, and as I say, I stuck to the oxide because I like the effect that it gives. You might find that you prefer the distress inks, but I would recommend writing down the techniques that you're using. And again, so you can see it when it's dry. It doesn't look like much, but when you activate it with some water, you'll see that the inks begin to blend. So leave that on the windowsill to dry, and then you will end up with an effect like this, so that you've got that pink and that yellow together. And again, I use the 3 different sizes, so because they've all been made handmade, you can see that you've got all the different colours coming through. So no 2 blooms are the same, and that gives it a really personal handmade finish. To get the effect of a shimmery coloured flower, you can also make your own spritzer bottles. So I don't have very many inks and sprays and things. I tend to just use my oxides, but I do have these that I've used on Yupo paper before. So this is Cosmic Shimmer Intense Pigment Stains, and then these are Pinata colours, and that's the teal. So I'm going to try and make some, I'm hoping that they're going to be like a warm brown, and these spray bottles I've had quite a while, but they're like perfumery bottles that you can buy from Amazon. If you need help with that type of thing, then leave me a comment below and I'll direct you to where I buy these products from. And then I wanted some shimmer, so I used some mica powder, You have to bear in mind with mica powder that it doesn't always set by itself, so you might find that you get a little bit of residue. So I use 3 drops of the stain, and I'm going to use 3 almost brush nibs of the mica powder, and this will soften up the colour and also allow a little shimmer to come through once the paper has dried off. Let's just move that out of the way. So you've got your colours in there, and then all you need to do is to add a little bit of water to the solution. There we go. Pop the spritzer lid on and then give it a tumble rather than a fierce shake, because you want the mica powder to work its way through the solution. I haven't tried this colour combination before, so it'll be interesting to see what colours we end up with. My larger messy mat is in place, and again we're going to take the mulberry paper. It's quite a fun way of experimenting, and then you'll find different techniques. Oh, this is a lovely colour. It's quite unusual for a flower, but that's the joy of having your own mulberry paper, is that you can create your own effects. I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but I can see a really subtle sheen. And then what I'll do is I'll lift up some of the colour from the mat onto the back, then turn it over, and then I'll fill in the gaps. And again I will leave that to dry, and then we will make up some flowers and we'll see how they look. And then you've got your own little bottle of solution. I tend to find that one bottle like this will easily cover both sides of an A4 sheet of mulberry paper. So again, leave it to dry naturally, because you'll get a much softer effect. I think, look, there we go, there's the sheen, and that's from those mica powders. If you don't want to make your own solutions up, you can always get something like a ready-made spray, and I'm going to try the green this time, because then this will be useful for the leaves that you can also die cut before or after and colour them as you wish. So this is peeled paint, and this will literally, that's all you need. And again, turn it over and then just cover the back, and then if you've got other colours you can always mix and match those together. So that's how I made some of my leaves. I also made some of my own solution with inks and other stains that I've got, but it was very easy to make up a batch. Using the techniques I've just shown you, I've ended up with some quite wild colours. So this was made with a spritzing solution of some cosmic shimmer, and then I also added the coordinating colour in mica powder. So this is the advantage of being able to make your own, that if you enjoy the more vibrant colours, that's something that you can make. So as I say, mark down what you've done, and then if you want to do it again, you know how to replicate the effect. So this time, this was a big batch of flowers that I made, because I knew that the purple paper was coming. So I wanted to prep some of these flowers, and then I think these are quite similar to helleborus, and with the yellow stamens they're going to make a really pretty embellishment to any card. So I think so far I've only used about five or six sheets of mulberry paper, and I've ended up with a wide variety of colours. So then we've got our yellows and the traditional pink cherry blossom, plus a set of leaves. So now that I've made up a batch of flowers and you've got a good idea how to make them yourself, I'm going to go away and make some projects using the papers and the ribbons and these beautiful flowers, and come back and show you very shortly. It's taken me a few days to make these samples. The making of the blooms is one area to work on, and then you can come up with various ideas on how to use them. So the first card I'd like to show you is really using the traditional hobby house mulberry blossoms, as you would see, like the cherry blossoms. So this is my version of them using that technique that I showed you, and this particular one I turned into an easel card. So you can see that I've embossed the pink pearlized cardstock and die cut it for the sentiment and for the frame, and then the polka dot just backs the corner of the easel. I will show you all the different cards that I've made in colour families. So again, this was with two blooms, but this time I inked the flowers in a slightly different way. So you've got this quite vivid colour, but I think that works with this particular card. It's quite a simple card, and the mulberry blossoms then take centre stage. Same flowers, same cardstock, completely different look. So again you can see just how well all of the hobby house products intersperse with your other dies and stamps. Even though we've moved into the blue colour family, I also use the traditional cherry blossom flowers, but I just took one bloom this time and added one of the hobby house pearl embellishments on top of the die cut, and then I've used one of the blue ribbons that comes within this kit. Here's another delicate set of blooms. This time I've used the same type of technique for the outside of the bloom, but by changing the colour of the stamens you change the look of the flower. So this time I have added it to some extra die cut leaves and laid it within a grid of the pearlized cardstock. The beauty of having your own dies is the fact that you can change the shape of the flower. So instead of having the traditional cherry blossom where you've got the two layers of the same size, this one is using each one of the three sizes of the blooms and then layering them up one upon the other. For these flowers I use the orange spritzer bottle that I made myself, and I'm quite pleased with how the finished result looks. We then go on to a slimline card, and this was using these very vibrant blue flowers, again made from my own spritzer bottle. The mulberry paper will take various mediums, so it's worth experimenting with. This is a fairly simple card, but you can see the blue blooms there, and then I've coordinated them with a yellow one. Even though the flowers are quite fussy, the card itself is very plain and simple, and I think the combination of the two works well together. The yellow blooms also work really well with purple. So again, you've got the layers of the polka dot paper. I've embossed the silver pearlescent card. I've also used the same card to die cut this frame and these extra leaves, and then the mulberry blooms have been layered up on top and finished with a few of the Hobby House pearl embellishments. I think this particular card has to be one of my favourites. This time the mulberry paper was spritzed with Cosmic Shimmer Bluebell spray, and then I made up the flowers and added yellow stamens, and some of the stamens have been added as extra embellishments on top of the leaves that are made with the leaf dies included in the set. I've then layered the whole thing up onto a frame. If you want to know where any of these frames or stamps or cutting dies come from, then leave me a comment below and I'll do my best to answer your query. But I think that's quite a spring-like, luxurious type of card. Last but not least, I've made a card that was inspired by one of my crafting friends, Moira, who sent me a similar type of card, and I've adapted the design a little bit because I fancied making an Easter bonnet. So you can see all of the polka dot paper and the purple pearlescent card, which has been die cut with an octagonal frame. Then I've made up plenty of the mulberry blossoms with this particular flower. They do take some time to make up, but you can see that the effect is really well worth it. And then to open up your card, all you're going to do is turn it onto an easel. You can see that it's a standard easel card, and then you've got yourself a very, very sweet finished result. Here are all the finished cards which I'll be sending off to the team at the Hobby House. Hopefully you'll get to see them on your television screens for the launch show of the Mulberry Blooms. It's a new die set collection from the Hobby House, and I'm hoping that you will enjoy making your own blooms as much as I have. You will still be able to purchase the original Mulberry Blooms, but I hope that I've shown you that it's worth having a set of the dies, certainly having the papers, so that you can make your own products. Every card is unique, every card has been handcrafted, and I think anyone would be really thrilled to receive a card made of these beautiful quality products. I'll leave you with my little Easter bonnet. I'll wish you well and I hope that you will come back and see me again soon. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and follow me across social media. Take care. Bye for now.